The year is 1350. You are a medieval serf. You don't own the land you work on. Everything you grow belongs mostly to your lord. You belong to him. This was daily life as a medieval serf. Your day started before sunrise and ended long after sunset, every single day. You lived with your entire family in a single room with a dirt floor and almost no furniture. More than half of everything you grew went to your lord as rent and taxes. Even women and children had to work in the fields from a very young age. You had almost no rights. Your lord could punish you, tax you, or even take your daughter. After months of back-breaking work in the fields, you had to carry the best part of your harvest to your lord's storehouse, hoping he would leave you enough to survive the winter. In the evenings, the only luxury you had was telling old stories to your children by the fire. You rarely had proper shoes. Most of the year you walked barefoot or with rags wrapped around your feet through mud, snow, and thorns. If you displeased your lord even slightly, you could be beaten, fined, or thrown in the stocks. Children as young as 6 or 7 already worked full days in the fields. There was no childhood for serfs. By the time you returned home, you were so tired that you could barely speak to your family. Your meals were small and poor, mostly porridge, bread, and whatever vegetables you managed to hide from the lord. Even if you worked harder than anyone, you almost never managed to save money. There was no rest. Even at night, you had to repair tools and clothes for the next day. And every night you went to sleep wondering if you would have enough food to survive until the next harvest. Harvest time was the absolute hardest period of the year. You worked from sunrise to sunset for many weeks without any rest, pushing your body to the absolute limit. Meanwhile, your lord lived in luxury, eating fine food and drinking wine, while you and your family often went to bed hungry with barely enough to survive. Even making the simplest bread took hours of exhausting work, as your wife had to grind the grain by hand using heavy stones. Taxes were collected several times a year, and if you couldn't pay what the lord demanded, you could lose your tools, your animals, or even your hut. Every single night you prayed together, hoping for a better harvest and that your lord might show at least some mercy. No matter the weather, rain, storm, or burning sun, you had to work. There were no days off for serfs. There was no doctor and no medicine. If you got injured or sick, you treated yourself with whatever herbs and dirty rags you had. Winter was always coming, so you had to gather and chop enough wood to survive months of freezing cold. You worked like an animal from sunrise to sunset, yet you ate like one too. Meat was an extremely rare luxury. You were born a serf, you lived as a serf, and in most cases, you died as a serf. There was almost no way out of this life. After 14 or 15 hours of hard labor, you still had to walk home before darkness fell. These short moments with your family were the only joy you had in life. Even the smallest things belonged to the Lord. If something broke, you had to fix it yourself using your own time. You didn't just work for yourself. You worked for the Lord first. Most serfs lived their entire lives within just a few kilometers of where they were born. This was their whole world. Every spring you planted seeds with hope, knowing that one bad harvest could mean starvation for your entire family. Your wife spent hours every week baking bread, the most important food that kept your family alive. You were also forced to work on your Lord's personal projects without any extra pay. Small moments of joy were rare, but when the harvest was decent, you allowed yourself to feel hope. Most serfs never traveled more than 20 kilometers from their birthplace. This land, this Lord, this life was everything they ever knew. Twice or 3 times a year, the Lord's men came to collect taxes. You had no choice but to give them what they demanded. From father to son, the cycle continued. You taught your children the only life you knew. After the harvest, the land looked empty, and you knew the long, hard winter was approaching once again. Your hands told the story of your entire life, scarred, calloused, and never truly clean. Despite all the hardship, your family was the only thing that gave your life meaning. Fetching water was a daily task that could take hours, especially when the nearest river or well was far away.
Hold it firm, like this.
Like this?
Skills like
Yes,
weaving
that's it.
and
Now
preserving
reach over.
food were passed from mother to daughter.
Good. You're learning.
You didn't only work your own small strip of land, you also had to work on the Lord's fields. Tools were your most valuable possession, and you maintained them with great care. A bad storm or heavy rain during harvest could destroy everything you had worked for months. Breaks were rare and short. You had to steal every moment of rest you could get.
They're finally asleep.
At night you talked about
Let
the
them
harvest, the weather,
I fear for tomorrow.
and prayed that the next year would be
We'll
kinder.
endure. We always have.
Every day was the same. The same struggle, the same exhaustion, the same small hope for survival. Most serfs never knew freedom. This was the only life they would ever know. This was the brutal reality of life as a medieval serf. Despite everything, you woke up every morning and continued, because stopping meant death for your family.
Gently now.
You tried to grow a little extra food behind your hut,
Yes,
just to have something
so.
more.
Fine crop we'll have.
Winter was never far away. The fear of another hungry season was always present. Love in a serf's family was shown through small sacrifices, giving the last piece of bread to your children. You lived between two worlds, the world of the rich and the world of the poor. And you knew which one you belonged to. The work was not just hard on the body, it slowly broke your spirit year after year.
I'm so tired.
Your marriage was often arranged, but many couples found comfort and strength in each other. This was your world, a small village, a piece of land, and the constant struggle to survive. Faith was often the only thing that kept many serfs going through generations of hardship. This was the brutal reality of life as a medieval serf. Day after day, year after year, the cycle repeated itself. Yet through all this hardship, families stayed together and supported one another. This unfair system lasted for centuries. So the next time you think your life is hard, remember those who lived as medieval serfs. They endured what most of us today could not survive, even 1 year.